Which celebrity's fall from grace was most disappointing to you personally? Harvey was Hollywood when he got outed for the pos he is, but this guy produced just naming the top 3 the Lord of the Rings trilogy, 2 every Tarantino movie except Hollywood, and 3 Good Will Hunting, and subsequently about every Damon or Affleck project from that time to his downfall. He's won more Oscars than any person could ever dream and has made more money off films than maybe anyone ever. That man. I think he fell the furthest, the hardest and the fastest. Well deserved though. Well fucking deserved. 2 for me. Bill Cosby and Lenny Dykstra. Dykstra wasn't really a celeb but a ball player I idolized as a child. He is just an utter piece of garbage as a human though. You name it, he's done it. Gone to jail for financial crimes. Also for a grand theft auto. And he sexually assaulted someone. And paid a hooker with a bad check. Also been charged with cocaine possession, and he threatened an Uber driver with a gun. Why in the world did 10-year-old me ever look up to this trash human? Just to be a smartass, I'll go with Nero. He sucked at governing but was the equivalent of a rock star in his own time. And don't even get me started on fiddle or harp while Rome burned. Sith or Hilaire most likely, and the dude was mad fucked up, but wasn't trying to cut off his own balls source of power while Rome was burning down. History is jaded. Look to multiple sources and use rational thinking. TBF, old dude wasn't rational, so who knows? Mario Batali. I credit watching his show Molto Mario on PBS as a kid with inspiring my love of cooking. He always had this amazing energy and what seemed like kindness emanating out of him and into his food. I followed all his socials, was a huge fan. When all that Me Too stuff came out he didn't even deny it. He basically said, "Yeah, that's me." Then he slunk off. Super disappointing and really bummed me out. Can't support him anymore. Maybe not everyone knows him, but Rolf Harris, X200B. He was like the Australian Mr. Rogers. His singing and entertainment was so friendly and happy. His songs were hilarious, Tiny Kangaroo Down, etc. And he turned out to be a pedophile and predator. As young as 7-year-old girls. X200B. X200B. He was like Bill Cosby. Ian Watkins, former singer of the Welsh emo rock band Lost Prophets. Massively successful band in the scene. Turns out he dealt meth to fans to abuse them and then rape their babies' toddlers. Yes, you read right. I almost threw up when I read the indictment. Locked away for life, that one. The band has erased all music from all services as far as possible. It has tainted forever. Ian Watkins, former singer of the Welsh emo rock band Lost Prophets. Massively successful band in the scene. Turns out he dealt meth to fans to abuse them and then rape their babies' toddlers. Yes, you read right. I almost threw up when I read the indictment. Locked away for life, that one. The band has erased all music from all services as far as possible. It has tainted forever. Bill Cosby? X200B. I always thought he was a kind of nice man. I had heard that he proposed the Cosby Show to the studio because he found that there were no shows on TV that he felt good about his kids watching, so he made one. And it was great, but then, FFS Bill, you're such a huge disappointment to everyone. I hope the best for your victims. You really let us all down too. As many have said, Bill Cosby. I grew up in the 70s and memorized my mom's Cosby albums. Word for word. I wanted to be him. Now, I cannot even listen to him, and that hurts. Also, one most Redditors have never heard of, Ken Stringfellow from the Posies. They made some of the best melodic jangle power pop of the 80s and 90s. And then it turns out that he's a total scumbag to women. Jordan Peterson. He used to be a highly respected Toronto psychologist and professor. After his coma and near-death experience he emerged an ultra-religious right-wing lunatic that says things like "let the poor children die, there are too many of them anyway." Then he immediately after that calls himself a devout Christian. Mouthless face. I don't think people growing up today realize how much of a father figure Bill Cosby was to a huge number of us. He was nothing but wholesome in his presentation of himself. For him to commit such ugly and awful things feels like a personal betrayal to all of us who grew up regarding him so highly. What an asshole! Parents. I mean, his mastery of music and stage presence will never disappear, but I thought he was the 180s superstar that was clean and would go on. Addiction to painkillers and a fentanyl overdose, and he was gone too soon. Every interview he sounded grounded in faith and being free from things like drugs. Such a dichotomy. Kanye West. Maybe I'm just not on the internet that much anymore, but rarely do I see anyone commenting on how he went from making College Dropout, Late Registration and Graduation, 3 albums expressing the nuance of the black struggle in the US, to wearing a MAGA hat and endorsing one of the world's biggest racists. I'd give others feel this way, but John Mulaney built his whole shtick around loving his wife, when it was still very popular for comedians to make most of their jokes about their terrible wives. To cheat, leave her and then have a baby with the other woman. I felt personally attacked, lol. How could he do this to us? We know believing that is easier said than done, so we collected the following stories of famous celebrities who definitely never gave up, including Sarah Jessica Parker, Stephen King, and J.K. Rowling, for starters. All these folks are now household names, but they didn't become one easily. Jimmy Savile, mega famous UK radio DJ and TV presenter. Did a ton of charity work. Was a Knight of the Realm. Post-death, he was revealed to be a massive pedophile, protected and ignored by those around him for decades. Edit Savile, not Savile. Allison Mack, Bill Cosby, and Jared Fogle are all in jail. I think fame to jail is a pretty big fall from grace, with Cosby the clear winner for falling furthest. It's one thing to lose your game. It's another thing entirely to lose your freedom. Louis C.K. His stand-up specials got me through some rough times when I needed to laugh but just couldn't see any humor in the world. He has revived something of a career, but he was at the top of the top icon status when the reports came out. Buffy Sainte-Marie, she was a celebrated Canadian Indigenous singer-songwriter for decades. Then it turned out that she was an American born into an American middle-class life who just invented her whole Indigenous persona. Louis C.K. was on track to be this generation's George Carlin. His stand-up specials were fucking amazing and really got to the core of what it's like to be middle class. Then he decided to jerk off in front of people. Amanda Bynes' story breaks my heart. I loved all that, The Amanda Show, and What I Like About You growing up. She had such a natural sense of humor. It's sad seeing her struggle with her sobriety and mental health. James Franco, I've had a massive crush on him since the Freaks and Geeks days. Brooding, clever, sexy, bad boy but philosophical oof. I still have trouble reconciling that he's a creep. My heart hurts, lol. Joss Whedon. I absolutely love his work and it hurts that he turned out to be giant shit stain, and it makes it somewhat awkward to enjoy his work even though the actors involved are insisting that it's fine. Whitney Houston. This woman had the most amazing voice, a beautiful face and body, the family connections to do anything she wanted in the entertainment business. She had it all and blew it on drugs. Ultimate Warrior was my favorite as a kid. Not only did his fall from grace highlight that he was a terrible person, but it also highlighted the fact that I had a terrible life for talent, as a kid. J.K. Rowling has been a huge disappointment. Her unhinged obsession with trans people is so wild. She's torched so much of her public goodwill for what? Why does she care so much? Allison Mack. I wonder what the second string but highly popular character of this teen science fiction drama is doing. Oh good, she's running a sex cult and using branding irons on women. Haven't seen Michael Jackson on this list yet. Grew up with his music from the late 70s on. Very disappointing to me as he was incredibly talented and a huge influence on so many people. Oscar Pistorius. Due to the fact that he was the first double amputee to participate in the Summer Olympics, he was expected to become the next feel-good tale of recent history. 2012. Bill Cosby was America's dad. Fat Albert and The Cosby Show were important cultural touchstones in how people handled race and family at the time. And the whole time, he was a rapist. Chris Jericho. Used to love the guy growing up. Became a Trump supporter and his wife was at the Capitol on Jan 6th, and he spends his spare time going mental on Twitter like a bitch. Kelly R. I get nostalgic thinking back to when I first heard I Believe I Can Fly as a child. However, holy cow, what a fucking embarrassment. My sympathies go out to the sufferers. Paul Reubens. I watched Pee-wee's Big Adventure recently. It was so great and I feel robbed of all he could offer and for such a stupid thing that would barely make the news now. O.J. Simpson. All-time football great, cultivated a public persona as lovable nice guy in TV and movies after his playing career, and then the real OJ was revealed to the public. He was never the biggest star, but Mark Stallings' fall from grace was massive. Went from the star of a prime-time show to charged with child porn and dead in a matter of months. Graham Linehan. He co-created 3 of the best TV shows of all time: Father Dead, Black Books, The IT Crowd, and then it turned out he was a disgusting, anti-trans shitbird. Armie Hammer. Call Me By Your Name used to be one of my favorite movies, but now I cannot watch it the same way. It is always in the back of my mind what kind of person he is. Ryan Adams. I was a huge Whiskey Town fan and Heartbreaker was an all-time great, his later stuff was pretty consistently good too. He turned out to be a creep, Johnny Depp. I know people still adore him, he'll still have supporters, but damn, that trial and all the info that came from it ruined my love for him forever. Lol. I honestly think Lindsay Lohan could have been on, or close to, the level of Jennifer Lawrence in Hollywood had she not turned into a coke-fueled train wreck. Rolf Harris. As a child, I grew up loving his TV shows, his artistic ability, his musical ability. Then he turned out to be a perv, and I was deeply upset. Al Franken. He deserved it for that dumbass behavior, and I'm proud of the Dems for sticking to principles and sacrificing one of their own. But, damn it, Bill Cosby? I grew up on picture pages and Fat Albert reruns, and it sucked to watch somebody who was such a prominent figure from my childhood fall. Bill Cosby? I grew up on picture pages and Fat Albert reruns, and it sucked to watch somebody who was such a prominent figure from my childhood fall. Bill Cosby? I grew up on picture pages and Fat Albert reruns, and it sucked to watch somebody who was such a prominent figure from my childhood fall. Amanda Bynes. She was everyone's favorite growing up with the Amanda Show and multiple movies and just had such good energy. Sad to see what happened. I loved Bill Cosby as a Nick at Night kid. Loved Heathcliff Huxtable like he was my own father. I still can't come to grips with how evil he is. Recently, Jonathan Majors. So talented in the MCU, clearly was going to invest heavily in him. I'm so mad that he wasn't when I thought he was.